meeting agenda for solid waste update, July 19th, 2021. It is 10 a.m. I'm calling this meeting to order. In attendance are Commissioners Duncan and Brooks, and Commissioner Filios had another meeting to attend. Are there any changes to the agenda? No? Do I have to start over? Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. All right. So our first discussion item is rural site abuse, and we're here with JP, our Director for Solid Waste.
Thank you for having me, Commissioners. I'd like to give you an update today about the Solid Waste Department, and there's several items. I will begin with rural site abuse. So the Solid Waste Department has received several complaints recently about garbage on the ground at numerous of the rural sites. It's been an epic summer for abuse. Complaints include large items, appliances, furniture, household hazardous materials, and sometimes overflowing just general refuse, especially on holidays. The department has installed stickers in response to this summer. We spent quite a bit of money, I want to say $1,300 to $1,500 on stickers so that we could, on each bin, label the worst problems. So the sites indicate the site is under review, and all of the sites are under review. All of the rural sites, we're going to track what's occurring at each of these sites. It also says, please help keep this site open. So we want buy-in by the community to pay attention to who's dumping what, because a lot of, it's difficult to enforce a lot of these sites, especially at night. I am working with the Sheriff's Department on some of this, and we'll get to that. But it'd be nice if the residents can either snap a picture or give us a call about, commercial vehicles they see, or any other thing. Residents need to realize that it's not okay and it's not an option to throw their garbage on the ground, even if the dumpsters are full. So they can either hang on to their garbage until after the truck dumps, but putting refrigerators and dishwashers and couches on the ground is not acceptable. So the signs do indicate no dumping on the ground and no commercial dumping. Continued complaints we've had continued complaints even after installing these stickers. Now we have residents that are actually turning people in, which is a great thing, and they're all concerned about their sites because they've seen these stickers. So the Solid Waste Department has sent out letters to abusers when good photo evidence was turned in with the complaint. A lot of times you'll get a snapshot of a commercial vehicle there, but you don't see them throwing anything in the dumpster. So sometimes we make contact with that particular company and say, hey, a local resident reported that you were using this site, just to let you know it's not for commercial use, But then other ones are more blatant, and so I will give them a call because you'll see that they actually put the material in there that relates to the logo on the side of their vehicle. So I'll usually give them a call and give them a verbal and say, I'm going to turn your information into the Sheriff's Department. You don't want to get caught again because there could be hefty penalties. You really need to use a transfer station. So we're doing what we can to try to curb all of that. In the next several years, or I should say, probably by this winter, you will see a 5-year plan come from myself and the Solid Waste Department to address some of these issues by using various methods, including installing cameras, fencing, limiting hours, patrolling, possibly consolidating some of the real outlying sites that only have a few dumpsters, and having those residents use sites that are still fairly close to them, meaning maybe a 10-mile drive instead of 5. But consolidating and possibly staffing some of those sites to stop some of this abuse. It's a constant battle to keep these sites clean. We send out an employee pretty much every single day to go to these sites and pick up large, bulky items, things that really should have been delivered to the transfer station. So we're paying a full-time guy all the time to go around and keep these sites clean. I'm currently working with the Sheriff's Department. Zach Sifford, as well as Nicholas Franson, have been in email contact with me discussing what people could be ticketed for exactly, and also what needs to change at those sites. Zach particularly was concerned about the Worley site, and he wants to contact some of the local people with the tribe about what we can do to improve that site and get the word out. So I appreciate their effort. Any questions about rural sites?
What, in your opinion, what's the top rural site where you have, people offending and all the way down to the,
So there's a lot of sites, but right off the bat, there's two sites that come to mind. One is Wolf Lodge Bay. It's right, the property is adjacent to I-90. We don't own the property. The highway
Or it
department
goes like
does.
this.
Yeah, or the state, I guess, actually owns it. So they allow us to be there. I think a lot of residents believe we own the property, but we don't. That site, where it is located, is almost impossible to fence and still be able to get trucks in there. So in reality, we really need to look for property, and the previous director had been looking for property there, and the previous director had been looking for property in that area. We really need to find a piece of property and get it off I-90.
but as far as the contents and the volume, is that a really bad site?
It is, and so this last July, or July 4th, I should say, there was some complaints about garbage on the ground there. I contacted, this is right before 4th of July, I contacted Coeur d'Alene Garbage, made sure that they were upping the amount they were hauling. I asked them to add dumpsters. We actually added a 20-yard roll-off container on our own, which isn't part of Coeur d'Alene's contract, and put it there to try to curtail some of that dumping that we knew would likely occur over the holidays, because we see that, on the big three holidays in the summer. So Memorial Day, Labor Day, and 4th of July. So we even went so far as to open the landfill when they were closed, normally closed on the holidays, so that the rural trucks could dump and the sites wouldn't become overwhelmed. So we're trying to do what we can, but yeah, Wolf Lodge, it overflows quite
And
regularly.
going down 95?
Yeah, and so when you go down 95, the worst one, in my opinion, that way is Sunup Bay. Worley's not good either. At Micah Kid Island, it gets hammered, but there's more people viewing that one all the time, so it's not as hit as Sunup. Sunup kind of sits by itself, not a lot of traffic, and I believe that a lot of residents from Washington that are on the way over to the smoke shop bring their garbage with them and hit that site, because it's only about a quarter mile from there.
Well, I was very encouraged by, I called you on one site. As soon as I got a call from a constituent sending me photo pictures, which I forwarded to you, and you said you already had people on, they were there at that time
Yeah.
working on that.
Yeah, so I'm fortunate that I live down Micah Kid Island, so I come up past that site, and if it has any issues in the morning, I'm right away, either texting our operations manager or shooting something out to Coeur d'Alene Garbage to make sure they get on it.
Anyway,
So,
thank you for being on top of it.
you're welcome. Thanks. Any other questions about rural? Okay.
No.
With that, I'll move on to construction projects 2021. So I'll start out with the Ramsey Z-Walls. This project is currently running a few months behind where I was originally anticipating. And this could be a good thing, actually, because of recent pricing and bids from contractors on other jobs within the county. I've seen outrageous prices, and so it looks like both of our big construction jobs may fall into the fall-winter scenario. And these aren't really pressing projects that need to be constructed in the summer. So this could be work out better for us. So I didn't plan it that way, but that's the way it's working out. So our engineer, as far as the Z-Walls go, so that's the walls at Ramsey that we intend to create just for recycling metal. And then that by creating these new walls, will free up some other areas for garbage, so it'll streamline the process at Ramsey. It's estimated that we should receive 100% bid documents by July 21st, so this week. And it's likely that the bid will occur in August. Construction right now is estimated to end December the 28th. So we're hoping that we're gonna get some good pricing and that we'll get that project wrapped up before the end of the year. Our operations manager, Doug Goodwin, has already been in contact with the city of Coeur d'Alene about any necessary permits. We're gonna try to help whoever the contractor is, we're gonna try to help them out by securing those permits ahead of time. So we'll be working on that this week. At the Fighting Creek landfill, we have a 40 by 60 storage building as another project. This project is also running behind. But the engineers indicated that we should have bid-ready documents in mid-August. We're hoping for bid award in September and construction in early October. At about the same time frame, hoping to finish by the end of the year. However, We're hearing that pre-engineered metal buildings may take some time to secure. It's possible this could end up being pushed to the spring depending on the weather, but because it's only a 40 by 60 building and it's easily accessible on all sides, it may be a great winter project for a company and we might get a better deal because of it. So we're looking forward to getting that one started. The Fighting Creek landfill I have listed as another project. So south cell permitting, you've heard me talk about this. This is future expansion to the south of the current operational area at Fighting Creek. Staking of phase E3 also we're looking at. So that's a new phase that'll be built. We want to see right where we need to take dirt out for covering the landfill and making room for the future area. That will be likely completed within the next month. Flyover, as far as the staking goes, a flyover is also planned, so that's, or I'm sorry, a flyover recently occurred, so that's where a plane flies over the landfill, takes pictures of the area, develops a 3D image, and then we calculate tonnage, compaction densities, how much landfill life's left. We haven't done this for several years, so this will be an exciting garbage study for us, and it'll let us know how soon we need to develop these other cells.
The dumps are not boring.
Yeah, they're not boring. So that same flyover will help also estimate the soil usage and in-place volume so that we'll know how much dirt needs to be moved before construction of the next cell. It'll help estimate with estimations of future construction costs. If we can get the dirt out of the way fast enough and save the county some money, which we'll be trying to do that. We always do that. So, but that flyover is going to help immensely. Probably the next update, I'll probably have the data for you to kind of give you an update of what we discovered.
When would that be?
Probably in a couple of months. I'm guessing they would have hashed through that in a couple of months. So as far as that south landfill permitting process goes, we will be working closely with the Idaho Department of Environmental Quality on establishing a timeline for upcoming meetings about the permitting process. We've already completed the wetland survey in that area, so anytime that you create a new area for landfill, or you take an area and you put liner down, they have to look for seasonal wetlands. So we've done a delineation in that area to determine if we need to construct some wetlands somewhere else to make up for those wetlands that we take. Any questions about the landfill? Okay. With that, I'm going to move on to personnel. You're probably hearing this from several department heads, but we're having some difficulties filling our open positions. There's a lack of qualified applicants. We've had numerous people cancel interviews because they report that the wage is not livable. These are specifically, I'm saying that related to jobs that we have some seasonal positions that are only $14 an hour, but then we have 5 of those currently open. We've had almost 0 applicants for our seasonals all summer. It's kind of expected. But we're also having a hard time filling our full-time solid waste technician jobs, which are full-time benefited positions. They only start at $14.73 an hour, and we do have an extensive list of qualifications we need. As you can imagine, just competition from other businesses that have raised their wages to $15 an hour has made it so it's difficult to fill these positions. We also have 2 open environmental technicians positions. Technically, there's 2 just because we just promoted a guy to another position. However, that job starts at $21.65 an hour, and we've had difficult time getting applicants for those. And we've had some people schedule interviews, a lot of out-of-state applicants that we've interviewed over the phone, which is surprising. And then people find out what the real estate costs, and they're like, wow, I can't really move for that. So we're still looking. I'm optimistic that we'll eventually get some employees to apply for those, or some candidates to apply for those positions. And it looks like it is on the uptick a little bit. So like I said, I'm optimistic that we'll get some people. Movement in the office. So you've probably heard recently our safety environmental person left for a job at Buck Knives, and she was replaced with one of those environmental technicians like I talked about. She primarily left because there was more opportunity to possibly move up at Buck Knives, and she said she just wanted something different in her life. So, so that's part of our office personnel that's moved, and then also our business and finance manager. You know who she is. She's our former principal planner. Is planning to step down and retire in October, and that will be a difficult move in the solid waste department. But I do believe that we have a good internal candidate to take over this position, and I will be discussing this with you at the next upcoming HR meeting later this week. So, any questions about personnel? Okay. Operations and waste statistics. So just real quick, I always like to give you guys some garbage numbers, some crunched numbers that Lorene's put together for me. So statistics compared to last year, wood waste is up 47%. Of course, that's because of that storm. So, but I'm pointing this out because some of these other numbers, when I give them to you, they kind of sound confusing because you'll go, well, if the two transfer stations aren't up as much as the landfill is up, what's going on? Well, it's really the wood tonnage is way up. It's way out of control. So there's been 11,443 tons so far this year that we've ground of wood. So that is a lot. The landfill's up 6% or 5,403 tons. And this is actually down in comparison to last year. So during COVID, we were, or early COVID last year, we were up 11.3% when more people were home. So that's kind of encouraging, seeing a little bit of a downturn. Prairie's experiencing a downturn compared to last year. Customers are down 2.4%, but the tonnage is up. So we think the tonnage is up because of the wood waste. Again, it's actually up 8%. And then also there's a lot of contractor activity, so bigger loads coming in. Ramsey's customers are up 9.24%, which is up 16,291 transactions, really, when you look at the year. And the tonnage is up 15.37%. Again, the wood is skewing that a little bit, or 10,000 tons roughly, 10,092 tons were up. So rural site garbage, though, is up 14%, and that's actually true. Wood shouldn't be impacting that too much. There are local people that throw their wood in the dumpsters anyhow, so it could be having some bearing on that, but that's a lot for rural sites. And I think that's also from, a lot of that's probably construction, in outlying areas. It's easy to go to those dumpsters on the way back from the job site and drop things off, which is causing that uptick in garbage. I do want to thank you guys for giving us that extra employee at the back doors at the transfer station where we were having those incidents with loaders versus trailers and vehicles. And so what we've done is we've put a person there when we can. Again, we're still short employees, but we have been doing that. We haven't had any other incidents since that time. We've also went even further and put up some giant signs and painted some lines indicating don't stop in this area, so that we could try to avoid any further incidents back at the commercial entrance. The landfill, as a final update here, has also been evaporating wastewater or leachate through our Mister Basin system. This is an incredibly hot summer, and the guys are doing great. They've been performing the maintenance every day on that system, and from May 26th through July 16th, we'd evaporated 2.15 million gallons. I think 5 million gallons is easily within reach this year, assuming the weather holds true, maybe even 6. They should be in great shape for the winter, it looks like. So that's pretty exciting stuff for me, because in years past, we really fought the level of wastewater in our ponds. So with that, if you have any questions about the landfill, any questions?
You go to Ramsey, how long does it take? I had a couple of questions. When a person first leaves the roadway onto, how long does it take to get through there?
On a super busy day.
Yeah.
So I'm going to kind of refer to sometimes when I get a complaint about it, and sometimes when it's fast. Sometimes when they come in, there's not a line at all, and they get straight in.
But if there is a line?
And if there is a line, the maximum I've ever witnessed a wait time at Prairie or Ramsey, and Prairie's the longer one, is about 13 minutes at Prairie. I've seen 6 minutes at Ramsey. Okay. But 13 minutes and that's usually when somebody shows up in the morning in the line. So right off the bat, the line's already wrapped clear to the road.
Next question is, what are the questions that the person is asked as they come to the...
Oh, right when they come in?
Right.
You typically,
What do they ask them?
So if you have a Kootenai County plate, they're going to probably say, what do you got? And if it looks like they're from their home, they won't probably even ask if it's residential. Because if they look and it's a Subaru with 3 bags of trash, they're just going to say, what do you got? And they'll go household, and they just say, head inside. If it's a contractor's pickup and it has just a couple bags of garbage in the back, so we have cameras that look down in the back. Well, typically we'll say, is this commercial or residential? And then the guy will say, well, it's just from my house. Now, technically, because he's in a commercial vehicle, we're supposed to charge him. However, we will look at that, and if it's just a few bags of household, we'll just say inside, and the guy gets a free card.
Okay.
If the guy comes in and he's in a commercial vehicle and he has what looks like a commercial load, we're gonna say, where's that coming from? And then he's gonna say, the guy would have a choice. Is he gonna tell you the truth or is he gonna lie? If he says, it's from my house, it could be. Again, we have a policy that he's gonna pay because he's in that vehicle, but we're gonna evaluate that load. And then if it looks like, well, it's all construction debris, and the guy's saying he's doing a remodel of his house, we have a form that we're gonna give him that says, it's an affidavit that says, this is the job site. And you have to sign it, and it says on the bottom that I realize I could lose my privileges of dumping at the transfer station if I'm audited and found out that this isn't where it's coming from. So we have that tool to use. But typically, yeah, where is this coming from? Is it from your house? Is it commercial? If it's a Washington plate, where was the refuse generated? Do you have any household hazardous materials? And then we'll direct them there. If somebody comes in and they have brush, we'll tell them, go to the brush pile, and then if they say, well, where's that at? Then the scale house will direct them, but.
Got a question. My last question is on the one closest to Washington, where I guess we have the biggest problem with the Washington people, specifically the contractors sending their Idaho workers across the line with commercial material. What's going on there?
So it's kind of the same thing. So people lie to us every day and we know it. We do have those affidavit forms. I believe more of those forms are filled out at Prairie than they are at Ramsey because of the problem you're describing. Typically, we have in the last couple years, we created a scale house position. So a lot of times we have the same people in the scale house at Prairie, especially a lot. There's a girl named Kim out there, and she does a great job. But she will see the same people over and over, and if they have the same thing over and over, eventually she's handing them the sheet, and then she lets her supervisor know, and then sometimes the supervisor will come out. She'll say, hey, it's the same guy again. It's the same bunch of landscapers all wearing the same shirt that say it's from their house. So then the supervisor will go out there and usually have a chat with them about, hey, you guys, this looks like it's commercial. And sometimes people will fess up, and other times they'll stick to their story. So that's where you have trouble. So all you can do is you can make them fill something out, then you can go try to audit the job.
Thank you.
Yep. With that concludes my information on the solid waste department update.
Okay.
Do you have any other questions?
Nancy, do we have any public comment? No. All right, hearing no public comment, then it is 10:23 and this meeting's adjourned.